been looking at a lot of reviews to do with Gladiator 2, loads of different ones, and loads of good reviews too. There's been loads of good ones, there's been not ones not so good. But one thing I found when I was looking at all of them, was what I think a lot of people missed with Gladiator 2 is this one thing. And what I think it is this. I haven't seen the film, right? I know a guy that worked on Gladiator 2 who he does all special effects stuff and stuff like that, and he's making a film next year in Malta. So they made it in Malta. So the guy I know who worked on this film, he's working in Malta next year. I haven't asked. I was going to ask him about it, but I know he worked on it for a long time because there was a lot of people working on the movie. So he's making a film next year, and I think that I'm going to go over and work over with him on the film for about 2 or 3 weeks or something like that. But I haven't finalized exactly what I'm to do on it yet, so I have to speak to him a bit more. But even if I called him and asked him about Gladiator 2 and stuff, I don't really need to do that because this is just my opinion on Gladiator 2 from the reviews that I've seen and what I've seen with my own eyes. It's not really it's about a lot of things, right? It's about the moral center of Maximus in the first film. Okay, and what they seem to have done in this film is that they've rehashed the same film, put bigger things in it, more CGI, sharks, rhinoceroses. I think there's monkeys in it, CGI monkeys and stuff like that. Just from the get-go, all that is incorrect. All that isn't correct. They didn't need to do any of that. You see, more in movies is not necessarily more. But this is the one thing that I think a lot of people don't talk about because they don't like to be superficial. But this outward world that we live in is superficial. It is superficial. The whole world is like a jigsaw puzzle, and you've got to put the right pieces together. If you don't put the right pieces together, you have this jumbled mess, and it is about aesthetics. It's about the way you look. Okay? Now, this is what I think the biggest mistake with Gladiator 2 was. And there's numerous mistakes I can see, even just from seeing the trailers and stuff like that and the reviews. Paul Mescal doesn't look right in the movie. Okay? He carries himself wrong. His body language is wrong. His facial structure is wrong. You think of Russell Crowe and the aesthetics of Russell Crowe, the way he moved. He had something that resembled the real character of Maximus inside himself. Paul Mescal doesn't look right. He doesn't carry himself right. If anything, he seems to move himself in a feminine way naturally. And then when he's on screen as the character in the movie, he's trying to be a gladiator. Incorrect. He's got the wrong facial structure for a start. His nose is wrong. His face is wrong. He hasn't got a pleasing face. He hasn't got a masculine face. Okay? You could have chose other people for that part. The guy is no good in the part. He is cast wrong. You look at Russell Crowe in the movie. He's just pleasing to look at. It's a man's film. Another thing people don't want to talk about. Women might go and stuff like that, but it's a man's movie. People wanted to be Russell Crowe. Men wanted to be Russell Crowe when they watched the movie. Okay, women were attracted to that raw masculinity of Russell Crowe in the Gladiator movie and his internal strength, which came through in a kind of silent, brooding way. He was his own man. This Paul Mescal character is not. He's obviously acting, but he's also acting other than what he is in real life. This is bad casting. If I just say, it's easy to make mistakes in movies and stuff like that. It really is, right? But what in the hell was Ridley Scott doing, casting this guy in the movie? This is what people are not really talking about on the reviews. What the hell was Ridley Scott doing casting this guy in the part? He is not the guy for the part. He looks terrible on screen. He's putting it on. He doesn't look right on screen. You can't identify with him at all. His facial expressions are no good. And then you think of Russell Crowe's facial expressions in the film, in the original. There was something there beyond his face, with his how he is as a man, which people could identify with. And he didn't have to do too much. And his acting is way better. Way better. This Paul Mescal guy, I've never seen him in a film before, but I know just by looking at him in a quick shot that his face is all wrong for the movie. Who's going to follow him? No one. He's not interesting. I'd say he's like most women on this fucking planet. They're not interesting. You have to have someone with an interesting face, with something that's going on interesting within them. That's the biggest mistake of Gladiator 2. And you can bring all the CGI, you can bring as much sets, you can bring as much money, you can bring the spectacle up to 1,000. It doesn't make any difference. It was the small parts in Gladiator that made the movie. Now let me just think of a few of them. Russell Crowe taking the sword from the tree after he cut that guy's head off. You see his look on his face? That. When he looked at the small Robin flying away at the start of the film, that was more impressive than the tiger fight. When he was surrounded in the Colosseum by the soldiers and Commodus came in and he said them words to him. I'd done a video on that before. That was more impressive. How he held his countenance. The fact that at the end, when he was stabbed at the end, and he was kind of like reaching for the family and stuff, and you can see Commodus was kind of seeing, he was jealous of that he had real strength and a real purpose, and Commodus was jealous of that. All these little moments is what made Gladiator, and there's hundreds of other ones as well, which made Gladiator a far superior film than most films. And you have to remember, Russell Crowe won the Oscar for that. It looked like a very simplistic film, right? No, his acting was really, really good in it. Really good in it. And then you think it won Best Picture, I think, as well. I could be wrong about that. I think it won Best Picture. It was a great movie. It had that invisible lightning in a bottle touch, which is hard to replicate. I don't know what the hell Ridley Scott was thinking doing anything with it again. They've tarnished the original by making the sequel.